man, although my brain often lets me down. So there we are. So here we go. Look at this beautiful pre-dawn. I have no idea what the time is now. I'm in the water, but we're about 15 minutes off sunrise. But I could see already that the sun is probably going to rise behind some clouds. And people say to me, "Oh, well, you take the same pictures every day." I said, "Well, no, I don't, because there's no sunrise the same, and I'm into clouds. I see dragons, monkeys and dogs and everything, human heads in the clouds. Most people who really, I have to say, have no imagination, don't see these things. And I came up with the idea of writing a children's book, which I'm trying to do at the moment. And the premise of this story is that the sun, when it sets, actually goes down to the bottom of the Bohol Sea and is protected by good dragons and monsters against the king of the night. I haven't quite decided what his name is. He tries to catch the sun and not let it rise. So every morning there's this battle royale as the sun comes up out of the Bohol Sea and rises into the sky, protected by the good dragons, and then they have a big fight with bad dragons. Anyway, it's I don't know whether it's so, but it's some people have read it and said it was quite an interesting story if you're nuts. But it's got a moral to it, which is good should always win over evil. Anyway, enough of that. So here I am. This apartment, vertical apartment I have, is in a family compound. The landlady is a 40-year-old Zion lady called Rose, very nice lady. Her 71-year-old mum lives there too. Her 9-year-old daughter Leia, who is autistic, which makes it even more interesting because it's a study of autism as well as anything else. And she is hyper intelligent, much more intelligent than her mum and me, although I'm considered by most to be quite intelligent. And it's quite interesting to live. Oh, and the niece, Christabel, I call her Chris Christopherson, she's a computer geek and she's taking 6-year course in computer science or whatever, and she is actually the daughter of Rose's sister, and Rose officially adopted her as a daughter because her sister couldn't cope with her for whatever reason. Anyway, but she's real geek and doesn't talk very much, doesn't particularly like me for whatever reason. Oh, because I keep asking her to put a crash helmet on when she goes out on Rose's scooter, so she doesn't like that. She's really a bit of a rebel. Anyway, so there we are. My vertical apartment is a few meters away from the main house, so we live together as a sort of happy family. Rose is divorced. She has a German husband. They were divorced, so young Leia is actually German. She looks like, as they do, a very nice mixture of European and Filipino. She's quite a case, and after a rocky start, because Rose didn't explain to me that Leia was autistic, so I thought she was just a very naughty child and dealt with her accordingly. Now I realise she's autistic. We've become good friends, and I introduced her to origami. Every day she comes to see me in my apartment, so I've always got the door open to the ground floor, and she comes in and she'll tell me that some fantastic fact that she's learned. So intelligent, but living in a slightly different world to the rest of us. Anyway, there we are. I hope this is coming out. Yesterday I put the camera on in the dark, and my eyesight's not that good, switched it on, then put it in the tripod, and inadvertently switched it off again. So I was chuntering away to you guys for an hour and a half. So keen to get home. I thought this is the first time I've done this sort of film, where I'm holding the camera and telling you about, Philippines and how much I love them and everything. I got back and there was a few second clip of me switching the camera on and then transferring it to the tripod, and that's all we got. So I decided to come back down, but much earlier than I'd normally come down, because I thought, well, knowing my luck, if I don't come down earlier I will miss this blood red sky that the pre-dawn often is, and is actually more fantastic than the sunrise. And I have a feeling, as I said, the sunrise is happening just where this ferry is chugging along. Now, where are we? Bakong is really part of Dumaguete, but it's about 7 kilometers south of Dumaguete, and is very much a nursery town. Really, people live out here because it's cheaper. There's not very much in the way of shops and things. There's a very good local market, and I live local, and I shop daily like a Filipino. And if you need to go in for anything that you can't get here, you just ride I often ride in on my mountain bike. It's not that far. Go to the shops there. And often I go to Silliman Beach, which is the beach below the famous Silliman University, and it's right alongside the runway of Sibulan Dumaguete Airport. So you get some really good shots of aircraft landing, and because it has a 1.8 kilometer runway, which is a fairly good sized runway, the problem is they land over the sea, and what the runway doesn't have is a runoff at the other end. If you, for some reason, your brakes fail or you come in too fast, if you exit the runway, you then find yourself crashing into the North Dumaguete Highway, because it's right next to the end of the runway. So there's no runoff or anything. So to compensate for that, they try and land as quickly as possible at the far end, the eastern end of the runway. And to do that, they come in very low over the sea. And the first time you land, if you're sitting in a window seat, you can get the impression that you're actually going to land in the sea. It's quite good. It's a bit of a shock the first time anyone does that. So there we go. Right, so I have a 200cc big bike. It's small engine, but it's a big bike, 140 kilograms, and I like the weight, and I love going through the twisty roads. One finds if you go far enough south on the Route 7, which is the South Negros Highway, you come to Santa Catalina, which is about 80 kilometers south of here, and turn right onto the 711, which is Route 711, Santa Catalina to Pamplona. You start climbing into the mountains onto very, very twisty roads, which is great for leading and scaring yourself. And you slowly climb up to the point your ears pop, and it gets decidedly cooler, and you come to Pamplona, which sounds very exotic, but there's some very nice places to visit on the way and around to Pamplona. But Pamplona itself is like a one-horse town. Anyway, I normally go to an eatery, a local eatery, just before Pamplona, which is run by a very, very nice lady who is the wife of an extremely wealthy farmer. Their back garden of this eatery, the house is next to it, looks down the valley all the way to the sea, and you could see several islands, and I think it's looking at Sibulam, which is just slightly north of Dumagetti, and you could sit there for hours. And I've become friends with this lady, just friends. I said, well, why do you have this eatery? You obviously don't need the money. She said, no, but I get bored at home, and so I've started the eatery so that my friends could come and sit and talk to me, and people like you could stop, have a meal, and sit and talk to me as well. So I like to go up there at least once a week. The problem is I like to go fast, and I pick a time when there's nothing on the road. On a Sunday, I normally go on a Sunday, and I thrash the heck out of my bike, but of course that uses a lot of petrol, gasoline, and gasoline at the moment is a horrendous price for the locals, well, even for me, so I'm on a quite low pension. It's over $1 something a litre, which is a lot of money for local people especially, but also for me if I'm caning my bike to its limits. Right, so that's that. I don't know what else to talk about. You could see, unfortunately, the clouds. There's a sort of, I don't know, misty sort of cloud beneath this big cloud, and that's where the sun should be. Let's see if it comes out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, we've going through the wars a bit here at the moment because this is the rainy season and we're not getting enough rain. When it does rain it pours, but it's also the season where mangoes are ripening and they need a lot of